It is March the 3rd, 2023. For the most part, anyone who's awakened right now or being awakened or revived is sensing a moment of impending something, sensing that something is coming. And many awakened people who follow, I would say more so the New Age, are looking towards a new earth, attempting to live through the heart, attempting to vibrate at a higher level, looking towards the positive. Many who are following, I would say, the scriptures or the Bible are seeing things the opposite, in the sense of what is happening here in this earthly realm. And though they are pressing into the move of God in the earth and the last days revival, and how exciting that is and how amazing that is, and trusting in God, they also see very serious times ahead. And what I'm hearing from the Lord today, I've just been in prayer and, along my way and things I had to do. Really clearly, I heard the Holy Spirit say, there is a grand moment of mercy coming very soon. It's going to be a moment of mercy. And I was just pondering on that and asking the Lord about that. And it came in with seriousness and sobering truth. And I believe that the way I heard it, I think we're going to have those moments of mercy on a personal level. Something may happen in the world, but I think that those grand moments of mercy are going to happen on a personal level. And what could that mean for us? I mean, it can mean so many things for so many of us because we've experienced the mercy of God. Mercy is just breaking the law and then being pardoned, even though we don't deserve it. That's basically mercy. It's love. It's forgiveness. It's unconditional love. It's redeeming. That's what it is. It redeems us from the curse of the law. And when someone goes before a judge, and I've done this, we plead for mercy, and we basically admit our wrong and we ask for mercy, that our punishment or our justice would be less. So there's a lot of warfare going on right now, and there's a lot of things happening in spiritual law and injustice. And I do believe that God is for us, and He is releasing mercy, the opportunity for mercy. Something in my intuition tells me that something grand is going to happen in the world that will seem like it's a bad thing, but it's actually going to be a moment of mercy for many. And it will provide an opportunity for many to shift, to move out on stuck places, to cry out to God, to pray, to worship, to change, to be transformed. Moments of mercy are when the doctor tells you have to change your diet, you have to change your diet, you have to change your diet, and then something happens to your body, and that can seem really bad, and it can seem scary. Maybe you have a heart attack, and maybe you go to the hospital, and you've been knowing all this time, I'm supposed to change my diet, and then you have a heart attack and it's confirmed. And then they say, but it was so mild that there's no damage to your heart. Because heart attacks are bad, they damage your heart, and then you have a lot of problems from then on because of congestive heart failure and all the things that happen when your muscle of your heart is damaged from a heart attack. So you want to avoid that. The mercy part is you had a heart attack, but it was so mild, there's no tissue damage. And from this day forth, you're going to leave mercifully with the ability to go now and change. And that scare gave you the ability to do that. Or say there's a person that, is always late for work, always late for work, always late for work. And just, they tell the person, you're going to lose your job if you come in late one more time. And there's the CEO, and you walk in late and you lose your job and you get fired. And you can't lose your job because you need money. And your job calls you back up and says, listen, we're going to give you another chance. That's mercy. Then you get your what together and you get to work on time. Or say someone drinks and drives all the time and they get away with it, and then once in a while they get a DUI or they get a DWI, or and then just one day they have a bad accident, but they don't hurt anybody. And maybe they hurt themselves. And it just wakes up the person. These are moments of mercy. The point I'm trying to make is something bad could seem to happen, but it's been mounting up and mounting up and mounting up to the point that we have to wake up, and the law is balancing. The laws are balancing out now. And there's going to be a grand moment of mercy, opportunity for the world, for humanity, and for America, I believe. But it's going to probably come through something that's kind of like hitting a wall, so to speak, hitting a wall. And I think we personally are going to have these types of moments of mercy where we hit a wall in the jurisdiction of the laws of the Spirit in our lives. And it's there we're going to be presented with the opportunity to bow and seek mercy, or to, just remain hard-hearted. And I think this moment of mercy on a grander scale for the world is going to give the opportunity to move stuck places. That's what I say. It's just going to move stuck places, like people who cannot move, they cannot change their minds, they cannot just get out of the old way, the old man, just stuck. This moment of mercy, which may seem like a horrible thing or a difficult thing, is going to move the immovable. It's going to move the immovable. And just like those moments that I just spoke about in all of our lives, we've had all those times where we've, pushed, and then there's a consequence. And then there's that opportunity for mercy. And I have felt that from the Lord lately too. And it keeps us humble. It keeps us soft. It keeps us tender. It keeps us needy for God. It keeps us just low before the throne. And it keeps us unpretentious and realizing our humanity, realizing our need for God. And I think that moment of mercy is coming this year. And I think that the things that it's going to move, the volatility that's going to come out of that, because there's going to be a lot of moving and shaking, is going to happen next year. And the shiftings. Now, on a side note, I just want to say that I believe that there is an Antichrist spirit that's already been in the earth. It operates through us. Anything that is Antichrist is Antichrist. So we all operate in Antichrist spirit because it lives in the Pharisee. It lives in the ego. The ego is the Antichrist, the ultimate Antichrist, Leviathan. Everything that is against the knowledge of Christ, is Antichrist. So there are many antichrists, even as John says, in this world already. But we know there's a greater antichrist spirit that is arising in the last days. And I'm starting to get a sensing that that is rising up. And it is going to be very deceptive. And as harder things are released over the world, there may arise a false light, a sort of easy way out, so to speak, an answer to, the problem. And the Lord is releasing the spirit of wisdom and revelation and discernment, and giving us the ability to judge in the spirit, not judge others, but to judge darkness and light, especially as it operates through us, so that we may be able to take the steps to respond to what the Spirit of God is judging inside of us. And when an antichrist spirit arises in the earth, it's going to be very deceptive. And that's why we have to have that discernment and that ability to judge what is true light and what is false light, what is counterfeit and what is real, what is of God and what is of Lucifer. And I think a lot of us are already in that mode of being awakened out of what is false. But there's a lot of mixture still going on, and a lot of confusion, and a lot of still slumbering and sleeping in the deceptions of this beast system. And I think that the moment of mercy that is coming, this grand moment of mercy, is going to release the Antichrist spirit also. Even as mercy is being poured out, it's going to also release the Antichrist spirit in the earth. And so for those who do not respond to the Lord in that moment of mercy, which will be very clear, it's just like getting that ticket and going before the judge and you're standing right there. I mean, there's nothing clearer than that. When I got a ticket, I was running a business and my guys got stopped. They were parked somewhere wrong or something. I don't remember what happened, but I had to go to court because I owned the business. And then, you know what they do. They go in the truck and they empty everything out, and this doesn't have a label on it, and that's this, and got a whole bunch of tickets. So I had to go to court and I had to face the judge about all these tickets. There's no question in my mind what I need to do at that moment. None whatsoever. There's no gray areas. Was I angry? Yes. Was I angry at the, whoever stopped them? It wasn't the cops. It was the Department of, I even forget right now what they're called. I think I shoved all that stuff out of my mind. But, the environmental people. Of course, I was angry at them, but I really was angry at myself because things weren't in the proper way. And I left it up to the guys and they didn't do it, so it was my responsibility. So anyway, I know at that moment when I faced the judge that I'm not going to go up there and be like, hey, we didn't do this. And it's, there was nothing wrong. And, your people were wrong. I was wrong. Clear as day. There's no question about it. That's my moment of mercy. My moment of mercy is standing before the judge there with the tickets on his desk. And the only opportunity that I have is to say, I was wrong. We made a mistake. Me and my staff didn't correctly label. We did not park in the right place, whatever it was that we did, I can't remember. But whatever it was, and judge, I am sorry. And I'm asking you for mercy. If you would lessen the crime and lessen the payment. And the judge did, and I think I've said this on another video, but I've kind of learned to do that. If I get stopped by a cop, I've learned to do that. And so in that moment, there is no question about, am I guilty, or is this not a moment of mercy? Am I supposed to defend myself, or am I supposed to not shift and change at this moment, No, as I stand there before the judge, it's time to shift and change. Get out of my pride, be humble, and say I was wrong and I'm sorry. And can you offer me some mercy here? There's no question. So this is the way I see this moment of grand mercy being poured out, being released, that is coming. It's a grand moment of mercy. I believe it will happen on a grand scale, and it will happen on a personal level in our lives personally. And there will be no question. Therefore, if we respond in such a way with a stiff-necked, hard heart, I wasn't wrong, or I don't want to just confine it to I wasn't wrong, because it may not come that way. It may be something else that happens in our lives to push us. And if there is just an inability or just a unwillingness to shift, it's going to be a blatant response that says no to God, because there will be no question about the moment of mercy. And this moment of mercy is coming, this grand mercy, because there will be great volatility to follow, I believe, next year in 24. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know if it's going to have to do with the word that starts with W. I don't know if it's going to have to do with, I don't know. But I also believe at the same time there will be a release of the Antichrist spirit in the earth, which will deceive many, because those who believe the Antichrist will see the answer outside of God, and it will deepen the deceptions and the delusions, which is where God is landing. And I believe many of us who are stuck in some way, and we all are in some way, still stuck, or unchangeable in a certain area, are that way because of our delusion, our self-delusion. And so God's landing on delusion. God is landing on deception and pouring out the grace and the mercy that we need. We can't do it unless there's grace and mercy provided. And God has said, of course, what do you think? I know you need grace and mercy. Ask and you shall receive. I know that you've been crying out for this moment of shifting, and I'm going to let it happen. And when it happens, I want you to remember that it's a moment of mercy. Look at it that way. Have eyes to see with kingdom eyes. See with the eyes of the kingdom, not with earthly eyes. See the situation as an opportunity for what I want to do in your life, and what I've been leading you up till this point, even to the places where you still cannot shift, change, and be transformed. I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna do it because I know I have to do it. And what a God we serve. What a God we serve, who provides everything that we need for access to God's kingdom. And all we have to do is to realize that, to acknowledge that, to position ourselves in brokenness and humility through the broken circumstances we walk through. And some of us need a lot of brokenness to get there, and God knows that too. And so this mercy moment will provide the brokenness that we need, the humbling that we need. And we will touch our humanity in that moment. We'll touch our own humanity, because the ego inflates itself, it exalts itself, it raises itself up against the knowledge of Christ. It brings itself higher than it really, sees it. It doesn't see itself in its humanity. It's deceived, it's self-deceived. And so moments of mercy bring us low to humility. When I stood before the judge, I was humbled. I was quiet. I was listening to what he said. I wasn't being presumptuous, talking out of turn. I was cautious. And I waited upon the judge to tell me what his verdict would be. And that's how these moments of mercy will be for us, because there's greater volatility ahead. And I believe that as the Antichrist spirit is released, it will come before this great volatility. And there will be like a lot of confusion and a lot of uncertainty. And I also see just a lot of bifurcation happening. Sheep and the goats, wheat and the tares. Your new age people are going to be ascending and manifesting, and other people are just going to be like, oh my God, we're all going to die, and whatever conscious awareness, wherever they are in the spirit. When I say consciousness, Christians equate that to seeing in the spirit, where we are in the spirit. I don't think they're the same thing, but it's the only thing I could equate with it. Because consciousness is awakening, and we can see things in the spirit and still go back into our slumber, and go in and out of that place. So awakening is more of a awake, O sleeper, rise up from your sleep. And it's a continual awakening. And there is an opportunity for God to do what we cannot do in our own strength, in our own power. We just can't do it. And the grace and the mercy is being provided. So we may be vacillating, we may be still teetering, we may still be, I see these markets and they're like hanging white knuckled on an edge, and it's like they're not letting them fall or respond. They're just kind of like hanging there. Everything is like the bonds, the treasuries, the equities, and they're waiting for something to happen. And they're all controlled, so you could see that they're not letting them do anything drastic right now, but still we're walking on a knife's edge. And it just seems to me that something is coming from the same beast that controls these markets, and they know it. And they're waiting for that event to be released in the earth. And God's mercy is going to be behind that event. And then the markets will respond from the event, because there has to be that event, or as I call it, to set off what happens after that. There's a very good possibility the grid could go down. There could be a cyber attack. Everybody in on it. And it could be blamed on the word that starts with a W. These are some possibilities that could happen. But whatever it is that's coming, it's going to move everything. And that's why I'm saying, like, the markets are hanging like with their fingers, off a cliff. And there are some of us who have not moved out in obedience. And we're just kind of like sitting there waiting. And I don't know what we're waiting for, but we're waiting. And it's like this moment of grand mercy is going to allow us to fall into God's arms and for God to move us where we need to be. I'm not saying that's physical. It could be physical. It could be geographical. But it also has something to do with our inner man, moving us forward to a different place. So the grand moment of mercy, God wants us to see it that way, and to respond that way, and to position ourselves that way, and to posture ourselves in that way, to receive it as a gift of the kingdom. So that's what I heard today from the Lord, and I will add nothing more to that.